We got to talk about something serious. I don't have any facts to back up what I'm about to talk about, but I think I'm right. The aquarium hobby grows at a snail's pace. Yeah, everybody's stuck in their homes in 2020 definitely gave this industry a boost, but this hobby still grows very, very slow. But why? Well, to me, it's because we have just as many people leaving this hobby as we do coming in. We have 1,000 new people that just start up in this hobby and we're like, wow, there's so many new people. But what nobody even talks about is the 950 people that quit. Just a quick lesson in common sense. If you have 1,000 new people sign on to try something new and 950 of those people quit, you've only really grown by 50. That's not that good. Obviously, these aren't real numbers. I'm just trying to make a point. I don't know about you, but I want this hobby to keep growing. Now, is that so that more people will watch my videos and keep ordering from my website? Well, I'd be lying to you if I told you no, but there's way more to it than that. I want to see continued innovation. I don't want to see people continue to do the same things they've always done. I'm sorry, but apps just don't do it for me. I don't care if I can check an app to see how many gallons an hour are pumping through my pumps or how long my lights have been on. That's just not enough for me. Give me an app that can show me the pH, the nitrite, nitrate, and ammonia levels in my aquarium and the temperature, and do all of that in an app that doesn't require a degree in engineering to figure out. Now we're talking. But how are we going to get that? How do we get these companies to continue innovating rather than just putting out the same product every year with a new number on it? Well, we get that by keeping people in this hobby rather than losing as many as we get. By the way, this isn't a new thing for me. I mean, we named our website keepfishkeeping.com. I'm going to do my part, and that starts right now. In today's video, we're going to talk about the top 5 reasons why I believe people quit fish keeping. The first thing that causes people to quit this hobby is the fact that it's so expensive. Not only is this hobby expensive to get started in, even if you're starting with one of those starter kits that comes with everything you need, it's a lot to get everything going, get all of the chemicals that you need and the food and the fish and all of that. And it's expensive to continue to run them, to continue buying the things that you need for your filter and the food and all of that stuff. Are you going to go broke doing it? Well, maybe if you develop the next problem which causes this to be so expensive, and that is multiple tank syndrome. It is a real thing. I don't know many people that only have one aquarium. So not only is it expensive to open this hobby up, but also the hobby just keeps growing and growing and growing, and that just leads to more money and more people going broke. But there's also one more thing, and this is all in that first topic of it being too expensive, and that is people run into problems, whether it's cloudy water or sick fish or whatever it is, and they throw money at those problems. I gotta buy a bigger filter, I gotta buy bigger lights, I gotta buy whatever. I just gotta buy to make this problem go away, and that is almost never the answer. Usually if you take the common sense approach, you take a step back and you just take a deep breath, you can get through those problems without going out and spending a whole bunch of money. Believe me, it's good for this industry for you to spend money, but I don't want you to spend money that you don't have to. To get into this hobby, it does cost a lot of money, but it doesn't have to go overboard. You don't have to go broke. Look it up on YouTube, look it up on Google or your favorite Facebook group or whatever it is. There's a lot of ways to get into this hobby on the cheap and have it stay that way. It just might require a little bit more effort on your part, but trust me, with everything that comes from this hobby, all the benefits and just the therapeutic effect of this hobby, it is worth every single penny. Next is it's too much work. Now listen, if you happened upon this video when you're thinking about setting up your first aquarium, I want to open your eyes to this a little bit. A lot of people are surprised when they get into this hobby. They think it's just going to be something relaxing and fun, and you just sit there and look at the fish, and they're beautiful, and oh, it's so fun, and all of this relaxing. Well, guess what? It is, but it's also not. There is a lot of work involved in keeping these aquariums clean. Mine aren't even spotless, and it's mainly because I have too many of them, but it's hard to keep an aquarium absolutely perfect unless you're willing to do the work. Now, Don't be afraid of that work, because every single person that I know that keeps fish says that the work is part of the therapy. They love doing that. They love getting in there, doing their water changes, because they love the response that they get immediately, not only from the fish, but also themselves, because they look in the tank and they're like, wow, it looks so amazing. I'm so happy with the work that I've done. You feel good about it. Your fish feel good about it. And you're proud because you look at it and it looks really good. You don't have to worry about if you have that surprise guest that shows up at your house and looks in your tank and goes, ugh. You can feel safe knowing that people can drop by anytime. Mom can stop by and look in your tank and will say, wow, that looks really, really pretty. And that might start the cycle of another person wanting to get an aquarium, and you are going to have to educate them in, hey, I know this looks really pretty and it's really cool. You should definitely get one because the benefits are just amazing, but you have to understand that you are going to have to do some work. If you're rich enough to pay people to do the work for you, then you got it made. But if you're a regular person like me, you're going to have to do that work on your own, but it's really not that big of a deal. Let me tell you something. If you're a son and your mom wants a tank, you go over there and clean it for her. Keep the work to a minimum for her. All she has to do is throw some flakes in there once a day and you're all good to go. She deserves it. She's your mom. Next is the hobby can be downright confusing, especially if you're in the market for a new filter or some type of new product, a new light or a new heater or whatever it is. You can get overwhelmed very fast if you go online and you start watching videos or reading reviews of different products. It can get overwhelming very, very fast. Not to mention the fish angle of it. You start looking, this fish can't go with that fish. They need different types of water. They require different kinds of food. This one needs to be in a big tank. This one needs to be in a small tank. It can get very overwhelming and very confusing very fast. But again, it doesn't have to be if you keep things simple. Now, I've made it my mission to keep this hobby simple for everybody that watches my videos. That's why we don't go completely overboard with the scientific stuff. We'll leave that to other smarter channels. We keep things very simple because we want this to be easy and not confusing for anybody. Why? Because we want you to enjoy this hobby and not be overwhelmed by it, so that you stay in this hobby. Like I said, we're going to do our part to help this hobby continue to grow because we all benefit from that. But listen, it doesn't have to be complicated. There is enough information out there. The thing that I would suggest is hook up with somebody that you trust, whether that's somebody online, whether it's a YouTube channel or a friend. Maybe you can join one of your local clubs. Find somebody that you trust, that you believe because they've been successful in whatever way, and ask them, how do I keep this as simple as possible? I just want pretty fish, and I want my tank to be pretty. I want to spend as little money as possible, and I want it to be as little work as possible. I'm sure your friend can help you with that, and just keep this simple. It can be overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. This one is another common one, and that is that your favorite fish died. And when that fish died, you just lost all interest in this hobby. Listen, I get it. It is the worst. I had one of these fish in here. I've got 60 of them in here. Well, actually 59 now. I had one die a while back and I was just like, oh no. And I got a whole bunch of them in there. But still, it really bothered me. And usually the reason why it bothers me is if a fish dies just kind of out of nowhere, a lot of times it's your fault. And that can be too much of a burden for somebody, knowing that you have the responsibility to take care of a living thing and you failed that living thing. That can really mess with your mind and really drive you out of this. But listen, my advice, if this happens to you, if your favorite fish dies and it's making you want to quit, I would say don't. Look at this as an opportunity to try something new. You lost that fish and it's terrible. You will get over it, I promise, having been through it probably hundreds and hundreds of times over a lot of years. Well, I think we're coming up on 30 years now. It's been a while for me. I've lost plenty of fish. You will get over it, and when you do, it's time to try something new. You can be a creature of habit and just go get the same fish again because you loved that one so much. But you can also look at it as an opportunity to try something new, try a fish that you've never had, and that could be the thing that sparks this hobby right back up for you again. And let me tell you, that's a beautiful thing. Now I gotta admit, this last one on the list is gonna sound kind of similar to the one I did talking about that this hobby can be way too confusing, but I'm gonna try to take a different approach to it. I'm gonna say the last reason that makes people quit, in my opinion, is that it's just too stressful. I've been involved in many situations in this hobby where everything just goes wrong. And you followed every rule, you did every single thing you knew to keep this thing right, and everything still fell apart. All the fish died, whatever it is, all of your plants died out, and it's just a big mess in your aquarium now. Even though you thought you were doing everything right, it can be very stressful because you're looking at this like we said earlier, I'm responsible for these little lives. I failed them. I failed nature. I failed these plants. All of this died and it's my fault. I was looking up all this information and it was overwhelming and I couldn't figure it out. And now everything's dying and I'm wasting all this money and I'm just too stressed out. You see how this all kind of comes together? The stress of this hobby is a real thing. I don't care how long you've been in this hobby. If you have not experienced an overload of stress, you will, because it's coming. It's just something that you have to expect. But again, when you look at this hobby, big picture, you look at the whole thing and you say, listen, I feel better after spending some time with my aquarium, whether I'm just sitting there staring at it or I'm working on it or I bought a new fish or whatever it is, I feel good. That makes me feel good mentally. I feel like I'm more productive. I sleep better. I'm in a better mood because my mental health is better. And it's all because of these little things swimming around in my aquarium. Trust me, when you look at it like that, you realize the benefits far outweigh the expense. The benefits far outweigh the confusion and the overwhelming amount of work that has to be done and all of the stress. It is absolutely worth it. If you have an aquarium and you're passionate about it, you love it so much that you're watching a video of some weird bald guy in Virginia talking about how much he loves it, if you've gone that far with this hobby, you love it enough to know that you should not abandon this hobby, no matter how stressful it is, no matter how hard it is to figure out, because in the end, this will be one of the best things you've ever had in your life. Keep it that way, because trust me, it is a life-changing thing. Whether you start a YouTube channel and start showing all of your aquariums and all of that kind of stuff, or you just keep it to yourself and you come home and you spend time with that aquarium every day and feel good looking into it, knowing that it looks like that because I've done the work, I spent the money, I put the time in. Trust me, it is extremely rewarding and worth every single thing we've talked about on this list. So there you go. Those are my top 5 reasons of why I think people quit this hobby and what they can do to avoid those things. If you have other ideas of things that people can look for that might make them want to quit, but you have some advice on what can keep them from quitting, put it down in the comments section below. Also, right above that section is the subscribe button. You might want to do that because we're going to be doing videos like this every single week, and maybe click the like button. I don't really know if that helps, but hey, while you're down there, you might as well do it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Bye.